Senator Waters, you wish to move a motion to take note of answers?
I do. Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I move to take note of the answer given by Senator Cormann on behalf of the Minister for the Environment. And sadly, the Minister was not able, or perhaps not willing, to answer the substance of many of my questions. And the first part of my question went to how on earth can a dredging company be given approval to dredge and dump 3 million cubic metres of sludge into a World Heritage Area, and not just any World Heritage Area, the Great Barrier Reef, the largest living organism that can be seen from space, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, in my beautiful home state of Queensland. How on earth did the Minister for the Environment tick off on this world's largest coal port and all of that dredging and dumping? So my first question to the Minister was, how do you think they could possibly offset that damage by working with landholders to try and reduce the sediment flowing into the reef when, in 5 years, with the full might of the Commonwealth, the Queensland Government and those very hard-working farmers, we've only been able to save about 1/20th of the amount that the dredging company is now allowed to dump in the reef? It is a magic pudding condition that is not even possible to be complied with, even if there was a will to try. We know, sadly, in Queensland that the Newman government has cut 220 workers from our Environment Department, those same people that would check on whether conditions are going to be complied with and would monitor that and possibly take court action if they were being breached. And we know, sadly, that the Federal Environment Department faces those same cuts and more coming down the line. Where are the people that are going to be checking these conditions? They've been sacked. These conditions won't be complied with, and we will see massive water quality damage to the World Heritage Area that is the Great Barrier Reef, right at the time when the World Heritage Committee has warned Australia that the reef could end up in that international list of shame, the World Heritage in Danger list. Now, that would be a huge blow to our tourism industry. We'd be one of the few developed nations with a World Heritage site on that list, and that would massively damage the 63,000 jobs that rely on the reef being healthy and visitable and by tourists. So sadly, the Minister gave some glib remarks about, the economy will save everything, and completely ignored the fact that, of course, underpinning a healthy economy needs to be a healthy environment. But clearly, basic biophysics has completely eluded the government, as has the notion of science itself, with the lack of science minister. Now, I next raised the fact that the government on Monday in the House of Representatives moved to water down environment protections for threatened species across the board by allowing the Environment Minister to ignore expert advice about the threats to threatened species from things like dredging, dumping, mines and the like. And I mentioned the approvals not just of the world's biggest coal port at Abbot Point, but also the coal seam gas liquefaction facility in Gladstone Harbour. I mentioned that yesterday as well this government tried to repeal part of our climate laws, unsuccessfully, thank goodness. And I mentioned that today the government in the House has sought to remove protection for endangered ecological communities in the Murray-Darling. And of course on Friday that the Prime Minister wants to completely get rid of all of his federal approval responsibilities and just leave that all up to state governments. This has been an atrocious week for Australia's environment, but it's been a week when we have absolutely seen the true colours of this government. So I asked the Minister representing when it was that Minister Hunt would be ordering his new door plaque, Minister Against the Environment. Now, sadly, I got yet another glib reply to that very serious question. Perhaps I'll have one made and send it to the Minister. I come back to the fact that we have a World Heritage icon, perhaps the most globally famous and beautiful World Heritage icon, which brings in $6 billion a year to our economy, which employs 63,000 people, and which does not need any more coal ports. We have 12 coal ports already in the Great Barrier Reef, coal and other mixed export ports. They are not even being used to their full capacity. We've had several reports now that show they're being used about 2/3 capacity. So we have empty coal port capacity, and yet we have plans and approvals last night to expand coal ports, to do needless damage to the reef, to burn coal from the Galilee Basin, which, if all of the coal in the Galilee Basin was a country, would be the 7th biggest emitter in the world. This is a disastrous government, and Australia's environment is finished under this administration.
Thank you, Senator Waters. The question is the motion moved by Senator Waters be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. Senator Abetz.